Karibuni katika makala nyingine ya OneMicShow Ijumaa ya leo tarehe 16 Februari, wiki ambayo imesalia wiki mbili pekee kabla ya Wakenya kumiminika na kujimwaya jijini Las Vegas. Ni furaha kubwa kujiunga nanyi tena wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, muziki ukata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. On the show tonight, big interview with artist Bobi Wine, who is currently a member of parliament in the Ugandan parliament. Bobby will be talking about the intersection of music, protest, and politics in Uganda. He will also brief us on what he's currently doing in the United States. He will be in the studio with us. And staying in news and politics, we'll talk about the school shooting in Florida, the resignations of President Jacob Zuma and of South Africa and Haile Mariam Desalegn of Ethiopia. And we'll also touch on the High Court ruling in Kenya that declared Miguna's deportation illegal. Na bila kusahau tapokea mziki wetu toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari Sisilo Moshfire, na tuta dunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och jezi nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios, ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Wengine waniita mteule na kwetu mniite mjukuu wa Masai. Cause I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibuni tena.
Mika. I guess he's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I was speaking on mute. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another wonderful Friday where we are welcoming you for Happy Hour. And we thank you for joining us today. Kama kawaida, as in base ndo imefunguliwa. Yes, your barman, head barman, Mr. Ali, has given you the list of the cocktails of what we're going to be indulging in today. In sports, we're going to talk about the Winter Olympics. We'll talk about some soccer. And we'll also talk about some rugby, since it's natural for us to talk about rugby, since you're going to Vegas in a few weeks. All in all, karibuni, and let's enjoy the show.
All right. If we can get ourselves sorted over here.
Now, let's talk politics.
Welcome to the politics segment. I'm your politics anchor, Ali Badawi. On this segment of the OneMicShow tonight, we'll talk about the Florida shooting, the resignations of President Zuma and Desalegn, and we'll briefly touch on the High Court ruling that declared Miguna's deportation illegal. In studio is a regular panel of Humphrey Muturi, DJ Omoshfire. Elka is out again tonight. And over the phone, we have Mika Och from Arizona. Our producer is Mr. Mubelo Bandio, who is on standby to contribute. And also not forgetting, Ugandan artist and member of parliament, Mr. Bobi Wine, will be joining us in the studio. He's actually somewhere close to the building, and he will be part of the show. But tonight, we'll start with the Parkland shooting in Florida, which left 17 students dead and dozens of students with gunshot wounds. The shooter was apprehended shortly after, and after the melee, the gun debate once again took center stage on media and on social media, and the issue of mental illness came to the forefront. We don't want to get into details of what happened because we've already had all that in the different media networks across the week. But we want to view this from a different angle, and I just want to ask the listeners and the people on the panel too. You can tell we have a very thin panel today. Are we stigmatizing mental illness? Because anytime there's a white shooter involved, be it a school shooting or any other regular shooting like the one in Las Vegas, mental illness is invoked. We know there's a lot of people who have, like mental illness, but is this a stigmatization of mental illness? Because how is it that every time there's a white shooter, mental illness is the first thing that comes to mind? Mick, I'm going to start with you today. What do you think?
I think it's the easiest and most politically correct excuse to go hide behind, because this is the thing. Usually after shooting, and then we say we want to talk about it, people say, well, let's mourn the dead. We have to respect the dead and the families. Let's mourn first and then finish it. Then after the mourning period is over, it goes back to let's not talk about the gun debate. Guns don't kill people; it's people who kill people. So let's talk about what? Let's talk about mental illness. And then when it comes to talking about mental illness, we are told then we are being insensitive and discriminative because we are talking about we are talking on it on a negative aspect. So nobody really wants to talk about it. All they want is just prayers and well wishes. We pray about it and think about it. But it's high time where it's getting to a point whereby we have to talk about these things. Remember, there was a bill that was written by Obama that that was curbing mental illness, mentally challenged people purchasing firearms. It was among one of the first bills that Donald Trump revoked when on that night how many was it? 113 bills or something that he revoked and changed and did something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was among one of those bills, and so we go back to square one. Why is it easy to buy a gun than it is easy to buy cough medicine or to buy allergy medicine?
Okay,
right? It's easier to get an AR-15 from the store than it is for you to buy alcohol. It doesn't make sense.
Wow, that's interesting because I know medicines like NyQuil today, you need an ID to purchase medicines. NyQuil.
Claritin.
Yeah, you need an ID to purchase it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and you can go purchase an AR-15 straight from high school, 18 years old. And and there's an argument that like the gun toters bring that it's a constitutional right, and fine, we do agree with you. Even slavery is also enshrined in the Constitution. Even like a black person being 3/5 of a person is enshrined in the Constitution.
Right.
I really want to quickly remind the listeners what that Second Amendment says, because I think a lot of people have heard about it. Not many people take time to read it. It's a very short amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says is that a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia. I want people to pay attention to that. And one might tell me what you think when you first read that. A well-regulated militia. Do you think that this was intended for any Tom, Dick, or Harry? Or what do you understand by a well-regulated militia?
I mean, technically, what a well-regulated militia means is a well-organized group of people.
Like the police service?
The police service.
The military?
The military. But also now you have, the numbnuts out there, the extremists, the KKK guys, the white Nazi, because they are organized in such a way, in a sense they are organized. So they have the right to bear arms, because they believe that they're protecting something that is very crucial to them.
A well-organized militia being necessary to the security of a free state.
Of a free state.
Yeah.
So if let's say, for example, like the Clive Owen, those guys over there, if those guys believe, like in a David Koresh, if they believed that their state, wherever they are, it's being threatened, they have the right to bear arms.
What about an 18-year-old just graduated high school, going to a gun store and purchasing an AR-15? Is he a well-organized militia?
No, he's not. I mean, and that is the problem, because now what needs to be defined is what is a well-organized militia, and our amendments to be made, because that in itself, you could say that is the loophole that allows people to bear the right, to have the right to bear arms.
Yes.
That right there is what gives the people, I have the right to bear arms.
Now, interesting also, the word gun has not been used. They say the right to bear arms.
Yes.
Like a rocket-propelled grenade.
It could be a knife.
What about a rocket-propelled grenade?
Hey, you see,
do I have a right to bear that?
According to that, and I think that's why they don't mess with it. I mean, it could be an AR, a semi-automatic. It could be an RPG, whatever it is, because nothing has really been defined, right? Nothing has really been.
What
defined.
about a tank?
Has anything? What when they say what? Read it again.
It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
It still falls within the confines of what they consider arms.
Okay. Now that's the most interesting part. Now, I also understand that this shooter, his name is Nicholas Cruz.
Yes.
He was expelled from his school while he was still in school. So, I'm just a bit curious, because I don't know. None of us went to high school here in the U.S., and unfortunately, Elka is not here.
Yes.
What happens to a student when they get expelled from a school in the United States, from the public schooling system? What happens to you?
That is something that I would like to hear from people who have gone to high school and whatever here. I'm a parent, yes, but I haven't gotten to the level of indulging with. But I know being expelled in Kenya was the worst thing you could ever do.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
If you tell your parents you've been expelled, I mean, how do you even start? Because I forget expulsion, suspension.
But with expulsion in Kenya, we know, like, you could go to another school.
You could go.
Try to get admission.
You could go if you are of the means. But if you're not of the means.
Yes, but I don't know, Mika, might you know what happens to a student when they get expelled from high school, or anybody who's tuning in on Facebook? Do you know what happens to a student when they get expelled? Because we hear of people getting expelled, and I don't know what happens to you, because there's only one public schooling system. Unless you go to a private school, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what exactly happens to you.
If there are any teachers out there, maybe they can chime in and let us know what's up. But I don't know. I don't know what the process is. But going back to what Cruz was saying, with this Cruz character, it looks like there were certain things that there were signs. Question is, were they ignored? Because there was a tendency for him to talk stuff, to say stuff, Now, did that stuff get to the administrators, the teachers, the people, the powers that be?
No, this student was expelled.
Yeah.
So clearly there was something. Clearly there was something wrong. But again, it is very difficult to make a prediction that just any erratic behaving student will end up shooting everyone in school. That's a very difficult prediction to make, especially if they have no previous criminal record, and if they have they don't have any particular signs showing that they're gonna, and I don't even know what those signs are, like maybe someone who's an educator or someone who knows about students can tell us, because how do you tell? And maybe what signs do the parents need to look for, at home? Because for the most part, when these students go and kill other students, in a lot of time there's shock with a parent, like any parent would be shocked that their own child would actually go and shoot other students in school. So what are the signs that people need to pay attention to?
That is a very good question, because, and especially being immigrants here, it's not, you're not really okay. Chances are, okay, we are constantly at work. Are we sort of interacting with our kids the way we need to? Are we having the conversations? Are they talking to us, telling us, okay, this is what's going on in school? Because I'll tell you one thing. I know, somebody told me there's one time the son came and told him that he was being bullied. And the guy goes to school. The father goes to school and says, you know what? Okay, we need to talk, because my son is complaining that he's being bullied. And there was a back and forth, because they'd be like, oh yeah, you know what, sometimes, a kid, apparently a kid may say something that another kid may perceive as being bullied, that he's being bullied, but he's not necessarily being bullied. And the father at the end of the day was like, like after 3 or 4 visits, the guy said, let me put it to you this way. If my son comes home and says that he has been bullied, I am going to jail. And I think that is when immediately the school administration took over, and they suspended the kid, because they expelled the kid, because other kids started coming out and saying that this kid is doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the most recent reports, I'm seeing a comment here coming on the Facebook live stream where FBI had been told about the crazy student 5 weeks before the shooting. And I think I just heard this, right before I came in for the show on CNN with Blitzer. FBI had been told about this kid, and someone had actually reported that this kid might be planning to massacre students in school.
There was also a video footage that has come out of him shooting a BB gun outside, I guess, his backyard.
Okay.
So a neighbor had recorded. But I don't know that the neighbor had, sent the video, reported the video.
Okay.
But I guess all they're saying or concluding is that at some point in time the FBI dropped the ball on this one.
Okay. And you're tuned into the One Mic Show. We're streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Our website is having some issues, but you can tune in on Facebook and you can make some comments there. If you want to talk to us, the number to call is 202-683-4570, *5 to speak. We're currently talking about the Parkland, Florida shooting and maybe the signs that were missed and what exactly needs to be done. Later on in the show, we will be talking to self-styled ghetto president Bobby Wine, who is on his way to the studios. And actually, our website is back, OneMicShow.com. So those who wanted to make comments, those who love making the anonymous comments.
Kina Eva and them.
Kina Eva, Kina Wakanda, and all those other people who have some very interesting anonymous, handles. Our website is back, bottom right-hand side. We are waiting for your comments as we wait for self-styled ghetto president Bobby Wine, who will be live in Kilimanjaro studios today. And I think he will be the first Ugandan artist we host here. We hosted Kansime. Yeah.
Kansime.
We hosted Kansime.
But she's a comedian. Well, she's an artist, but she's a comedian. But the first musician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At what?
What is an artist?
What is an artist?
With an E.
Or an artiste.
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 Are you guys French?
Oui, je parle
on parle français. On parle français, mon ami.
Oh, so you
talking
two
about?
Kinyagarikas, today you're saying you agree on something.
Oui.
No, but
Oui.
But he's talking Pacherian French, and
I knew that PSAD was going to come out somewhere.
And the problem is, I'm speaking the better French than the Changerian. But it's okay.
Anyway,
ça c'est bon.
Yeah, we're gonna do that later. When
this is too tough.
When Bobby Wine comes into the studio, we're gonna start competing in Luganda, and we'll see who's better. We'll see who's better.
I will leave Bobby Wine with that.
All right. Okay. And then Celestine Kiprono, karibu sana kwa show. Celeste is saying the FBI completely dropped the ball on this one. And here is the issue, and this might be a controversial statement that I'm going to make.
Yeah.
White kids are being radicalized. And these are just the same words that the media uses on Muslims, and I feel like white kids are being radicalized at a very alarming rate.
Don't feel.
Because this
is going on.
Yeah. This has become too common. And even when you check social media, I think there's a whole new generation of white American kids who are growing up feeling that it's okay, to be a white supremacist. It's okay to be racist, and it's okay to say racial stuff. Like just when you go on some social media feeds, and even some people who come out live on mainstream media, very young people who you don't understand how this happened. And of course, it doesn't help the president we have encourages and enables it.
Chicago has somebody who is running on a very Nazi white supremacist platform.
On a white supremacist platform.
And I mean, Anapewa, he's being given attention, even if you call him out. But I mean, when they see that, and nothing really happens to such guys, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay.
Privilege.
And what should parents be telling parents, like East African parents, Kenyan parents with kids in high schools? What conversations should they be having with them? Because it seems like there's a lot of things that go on in these schools that parents don't know.
I think the first thing that, and I think, go ahead, Mika. Let me let you chime in. Go ahead, Mika. Go ahead.
The thing is this, as in, I've attended quite a few PTA meetings for my nephews and nieces, and I can tell you one thing about the schools here in America. They've made it so hard for the teachers to even try to educate and take that social aspect of education to these kids. Teachers have to be politically correct in everything they say or how they handle these students. So that is why you have issues of students, and also students are being taught not to talk badly about other students. So let's say we have one Mike who's a problematic student and is always causing problems. Other students are scared of saying something because they're being admonished like, you don't know. It might be discrimination. Somebody can sue you. You're talking badly about something. And this is one of the students who has an issue and ends up killing other students. So the problem is there. But the way the regulation that comes down from the teachers, from the political heat that's coming down from the teachers, from up the hierarchy of the schools, up to the school district, up to the mayor's office, up to the governor and all that, it's made it so hard for even these teachers taking that social aspect of education into consideration and stopping such things. So you might be talking to your kids and telling your kids, okay, I need to do this, you need to tell this, you need to say this. But your kids, when they go to school and their friends tell them, oh no, you can't say that, you can't do that, they'll be scared to talk.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, sorry. Finish up your thought, Mika. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. You can finish.
Okay. All right. And of course, that was Mika Och. You're tuned into the One Mic Show, streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside of Washington, D.C. We are live on Facebook and on OneMicShow.com. You can make your contribution on OneMicShow.com anonymously, and if the website is not currently working right for you,
refresh it.
Yeah, you can refresh it, or you can get onto our Facebook live stream. The number to call is 202-683-4570 *5 to speak. For those of us who are with us on the live stream on Facebook, you can tell the ghetto president is in the building, Bobby Wine himself. And from this point, I'm gonna take this over and leave it to Omosh Fire. DJ Omosh, twende kazi.
Check. Wanisikia?
Atukuski.
Okay, try it again.
You can be heard.
Okay. I want to welcome the ghetto president himself, Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu. Did I pronounce it right?
Not perfectly, but
okay.
You're forgiven.
Teach us.
Yeah, we pronounce it as Cha, where there's K and Y is Cha.
Or like Champara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Robert
Chagulanyi.
Perfect. Now you got it. Really.
Okay.
Sentamu. Okay. Right. Welcome. Better known as Bobby Wine, and honorable, I must mention, honorable.
A member of parliament.
Yes, he is a member of parliament.
And not the people's parliament, the real parliament in Uganda. Mm-hmm. He is a member of parliament. Bobby Wine, karibu sana ndani ya studio.
Asante sana.
Okay, thank you so much. Omosh.
So, without much further ado, I know, that you have your fans out there. We say fans in Kenya. So I know you've been to Nairobi quite a bit. And
East African.
Yeah, that might be your second home, actually. And so, we'll go right into it. And so, the burning question becomes, why politics?
Why politics?
Yeah.
I'm not a politician.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a politician.
But you're a member of parliament.
Yes, it doesn't take being a politician to be a leader. I'm a leader, not a politician.
Okay.
Yeah, one can be chairman, can be councillor, can be member of parliament, and can also be president without having to be a politician.
Okay, that's interesting. And and before we get onto that side, you're in the United States right now, and some people are wondering, what is going on? What are you doing? Are you here to perform? Because you're still an artist, you still do music, and you still perform your responsibilities as a member of parliament in the Ugandan parliament. So what has brought you to the United States?
3 reasons. One, I came to attend a course at the Harvard Kennedy School.
Okay.
Called Leadership for 21st Century.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, I came to perform to my people, because that's my noble duty as a performer. And 3, I came to meet up the Ugandan community. This is the first time I'm touring the United States as a member of parliament.
Okay.
And I think it's just important to get the views from the people living in the diaspora, so I can, represent them effectively in the house back home.
Okay. So the same way in which, members of parliament who are lawyers, they keep practicing law.
Exactly.
It's the same way even as a musician, you will keep performing and doing your art.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, we're listening to you on Voice of America, where you did a very fantastic interview with Shaka, and some people were a bit curious on how music and politics, or rather being a leader or member of parliament, how that intersects. Because we know how, for example, a lawyer will go into parliament and work both as a lawyer and as a member of parliament.
Yeah.
But where do you draw the line when it comes to music? At what is it something that you practice simultaneously, or do you set it aside and become, like a member of parliament, and then you set aside becoming a member of parliament and you sing? How does that work?
Actually, being a musician started out as a responsibility and ended up as a career. My music has not just been entertainment, it has been edutainment. It is through my music that I've been able to communicate to people and share my plight and, bring issues that affect me and those that share the same plight with me to public notice. However, I'd say I had been talking for so long and I thought it was time to act and to cause others to act. The best way I could do that is by taking a step to run for office so as to demonstrate to my colleagues and know that if we are many and like-minded, we can change things. I go to parliament, one, to legislate. I'm not only one member of parliament, but I take the views and aspirations of those that think like me, and meet up, indeed try to, to influence other like-minded members of parliament to see that we legislate towards the plight of the people that we represent. It is only 3 days a week that we attend sessions at parliament, and the rest of the time is for me to use whether to chill or do music or farm. So we can do those things, each one has its time.
Okay, and what do you think, since you became a member of parliament, I believe it was July of 2017, when you got sworn into office, what do you feel like you've been able to do that you were previously not able to do while you were just an artist? Because you were already very influential in Uganda as an artist. So what different do you think being a member of parliament has allowed you to do that you are not able to do before becoming an artist?
It is in different ways. On ground, in my constituency, I've been able to influence, government, the implementation of government programs that had been stuck for so long.
Okay.
The infrastructure, the roads, and there's less corruption in my constituency. There's less theft of medicines in hospitals because I'm a no-nonsense MP. I follow up to the T. I've had initiatives that bring people together, like young people and women and all other special groups, and indeed make sure that I connect them to the prospective donors and other communities that they need to link up with. But again, in Parliament also, I entered when it was a very decisive time, that time when our constitution was facing abrogation.
Under attack.
Yeah, I put up a good fight and inspired other artists. Yeah, other members of parliament.
But there could be artists too.
To do the unusual. Yeah, and for the first time, we put up resistance to the level of, fist fighting in parliament. I think.
And we saw that fist fight.
Yeah, we saw the chairs.
Were you involved? That was an epic fist fight.
The chair was thrown.
Chairs were flying.
Yeah, so at least it was. We had the opportunity to show the dictatorship that it won't be business as usual.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Omosh.
Wow. Mika, you have any questions on the phone?
No, I'm cooking one up.
Okay.
You said
one mic.
I wanted to. The only question I would ask will be about the fight, but no, I want to ask something better. So let me cook up something.
Please don't talk about the fight. I'll be feeling shy.
Okay. You talked about, in your constituency, how you're fighting corruption.
Yeah.
Fighting corruption, of course, for us in Kenya, fighting corruption there is, but we haven't had, as one of our former, I guess, AGs, talked about getting the big fish, the small fish, but we've never seen a big fish either being fried. Yeah. We've never, one of these big people who do things. We see that, they've been identified. This is what they did, but there's never a trial. They're never convicted and they're never sentenced. So in your fighting of corruption, have you effectively, find somebody that is doing wrong, take them to court, they get tried, and then they are sent to...
Like I said, that's in my constituency, and
yes.
I'm basically preventing corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Corruption is a cancer that eats up our countries, and Uganda is no exception. Unfortunately, back home, the top dog is the king of corruption. So we want...
You're talking about Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
You got me right.
Okay.
So we would love to fry the big fish, but the big fish still has the keys to the kitchen. So I'm trying to go around that. We shall be able to deal with that sometime.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking about like being in parliament and being an artist at the same time. In Kenya, we have an artist. We have Jaguar, who also got into parliament. In Tanzania, we have Professor J, who also got into parliament. I will be honest with you, and out of the three, like top artists in East Africa who are in parliament, that's yourself, Professor J, and Jaguar. You are the most vocal. You are the most vocal so far. I think Jaguar got into parliament slightly after you, after the August elections in Kenya. What is it with artists, not even necessarily the ones who are in parliament, that kind of makes them feel that they can divorce themselves from the ills that are happening in society, despite the influence they have?
You see, we artists are supposed to be the mirrors of society. We are supposed to reflect what happens in society.
Okay.
In most cases, we get elevated by love and support, and by people knowing that we speak for them. You get a fan because you touch their deepest emotions.
Yes.
By representing them knowingly or unknowingly. So it's only important that we keep on the track. Of course, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So yeah, and we artists are not any unnatural. We are natural human beings. So it's just important that we stick on the track, that we always remember what elevated us, and keep doing what we are supposed to do, and that is representing our people.
Okay. Yeah. You're tuned into the One Mic Show, streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. We are live on Facebook and on OneMicShow.com. And the number to dial is 202-683-4570, *5 to speak. In studio today, we have the ghetto president, the self-styled ghetto president himself, Mr. Bobby Wide, who is in the studio and is talking about, like the intersection between music, being a member of parliament. Of course, he says he's not a politician. Not a politician. Yeah, he says he's not a politician. He's a leader. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Right now in the United States, we are under distress. I'm sure you know what's been happening in America.
I feel for you guys. I feel for you guys.
Yes, we are under distress. Coming from Uganda, or maybe brother coming from East Africa.
Yeah.
What role do you think we in the diaspora as East Africans, or maybe as Africans, need to play? Because I'm sure you follow up what's going on in America, and you can see the distress that we are going through unexpectedly after the election of Donald Trump in 2016.
Well, I understand that you guys are going through distress, like you said, but at least you are better off than some brothers and sisters who are in the Arab world that are living more or less slaves. And indeed, our brothers back home in Kenya, Uganda, and indeed East Africa are not doing any better. But I must remind you that you guys have a certain level of exposure that our brothers and sisters back home do not have. I mean, you live in a more developed country and you know how these countries are run. So that knowledge that you have cannot be underestimated in developing our countries. Don't just sit on it. Even if some of you may have a citizenship of this country or the countries where, Western countries, I mean, it does not divorce you from the responsibilities back home. The plight of the people back home is your plight. Well, you might not be individually affected, but at least your relatives are certainly affected by
absolutely
the conditions back home. So yes, one, you can either network among yourselves and make yourselves a changing team back home by either engaging the governments here or by being helpful to the democracy-seeking forces back home. I mean, you guys in Kenya are much better off than us. I mean, I'm sure you're not where you want to be, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is that you brought up the citizenship question, and we're going to do that a bit later on. But I know you've been keeping up with what's been happening in Kenya.
Yeah.
We had a Kenyan citizen who was deported.
Meguna.
There you go.
Yes. The general.
Yeah, the general. And he's someone who lived in Canada. So he was a diasporan like us, you know, did some of the things that you're advising, you know, go back home and try to make a contribution based on the knowledge that you've acquired in these Western countries. And then you have a situation where there was contempt of court, and Miguna was deported, you know, Kenyan born, you know, Kenyan bred, and he was deported. They said he's not a Kenyan. So how can you say that that people in Kenya are better off? Because I've never heard of a Ugandan being deported out of Uganda. You know, I don't know, maybe you can tell us if that happens, but this was the first time we ourselves were banging our heads on how possibly this could happen.
An African, actually.
Yes, any African to be deported out of Africa. We are used to being deported from the United States and the United Kingdom and other Western countries. So in that respect, how because in Kenya the constitution is also being disrespected, left, right, and center.
Yeah, it has been said before that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah. But again, it's important to know that these strong men come and they go. People don't just wish them away. People get up and they get proactive. So all these excesses can be perpetuated if people do not act. And if people achieve a certain level of democracy and they sit back and relax. I guess that's what happened to America recently. Maybe they folded their hands and thought, oh, it's done, man.
Yeah, we are good.
We are good.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I do not want to put myself in such a moral position or speak for Kenya, but I believe that when people come together and they stand for what is right, especially when they are protected by the law, authoritarian rulers tremble.
Yeah. Okay, and and what are your thoughts regarding East Africa? You know, we are the same people. I mean, look at us here in the studio. We are basically the same people, but of course there were lines that were drawn that say that you're Ugandan and you're Kenyan and you're
Those
and
are
you're
fake
Tanzanian.
boundaries. I don't believe in them. Those are fake boundaries. No African drew them. You know, they are artificial. But now that they are there, we need to first of all get into positions where we have the formal authority to discuss that. I strongly believe that Africa should be one. I subscribe a great deal to the thinking of Kwame Nkrumah. I believe Africa should be one. But even before Africa becomes one, I mean, yeah, how are you going to unite a country that is divided on basis of dictatorships, on basis of tribe, and on basis of religion? We first need to grow to think bigger than our tribes, to think bigger than our religions, and understand that all of us, not only as East Africans, but as Africans, we have a same destiny to aspire for. We share the same plight. So, yeah, some of our brothers are way ahead, and of course some others are way behind. But by realizing that we share the same plight and we have the same destiny, then, you know, it will cause us to come on the same table and think on what's best for us. The despots never sleep. The people who oppress us get together every now and then. They seem to have a kind of dictators club where they sit and make sure change does not happen in any corner of Africa, because when it happens, it seems to be sweeping all of them. So we need to come together and think, especially our generation.
Why especially our generation?
Because
what's special about us?
We are special because Africa has never had such a bulge of young people like it has today. And because we are the guys that are going to face the future, the old men that are making decisions for us are certainly not going to be there when these the outcomes of these decisions come to play. We have a 75-year-old Museveni back home that is behaving like he's going to live for 1,000 years, you know, and yet 85% of our population is younger than me, you know. Kenya is not any different. Tanzania is not any different.
That is true.
So we just need to think and to think together, and not only think but act, and act decisively.
Think and think together, act and act decisively. This is Bobby Wine you're listening to. You're on the One Mic Show. 202-683-4570 *5 to speak. You can ask Bobby Wine, you know, the ghetto president, any questions. If you want to speak to him, he's here in the United States to meet his Ugandan people. You know, for those who don't know, he's a newly elected. I don't know whether we can use that term newly anymore. You know, like this is now. This is now like 8 months.
So he's going to hit a year soon.
Yeah, so he's no longer a newly elected member of parliament. So he's an elected member of parliament in Uganda. And like he says, he's not a politician. He's a leader. You know, a very interesting way of looking at things. Now, going back to Uganda, and before that, maybe I think one might have a question. Now, going back to Uganda, Uganda is known for, there's a lot of good musicians in Uganda. You know, we have Jose Chameleon, we have the one who passed away recently, from Radio and Weasel. But for the most part, I'm going to use the word timid. Uganda has some very timid, and Kenya too, you know, where you have people who sometimes will not clearly show you that they are taking a position on this or a position on that. Yeah. But they will gladly, you know, like take money from either the ruling party or the sitting government. Yeah. And I don't know what's your position on that. Before you answer, have you ever taken money from the government or the ruling party? Just a question that I'm curious about.
You know, a praise song, you know, M7, You the Man, something.
You know, like Tawala Uganda, like we have Tawala Kenya. I don't know whether you've done one of those songs.
I'm a performer, so I take money from people to perform on their parties, on their weddings.
Yes.
Not on funerals yet, but a performance was my business. But I would never take money to tell a lie. So when I was approached in 2016, unlike very many of my fellow artists, to sing praises for President Museveni, I politely declined because I did not believe in lying to our people, you know. However, I do not intend to take any shots at my fellow artists because, yes, we have different reasons why we got into this music business. I call it music business because it's a business, you know. I personally got into music not because I wanted to be very popular or very rich. I'm a hustler. I could have gotten rich anyway. But because I felt like I had something to say, and I thought that music was the best platform. I'm not the guy with the sweetest voice, but I wanted to assert my plight and represent myself first of all, and those that are like me. But again, some people got into music because they want to get famous, others because they wanted to get power, and indeed very many got into music because they want money. So if there's an opportunity to make a dime or two, they go for it. Of course, it is immoral for one to be supported by millions of people because they share the same plight, and again, somebody to use that fame that has been bestowed unto them by suffering people and use it against them. However, on the other hand, I really, really understand. Because one, you must recognize that we are being ruled by a despot who doesn't give a hoot. You understand? And not everybody is going to be as courageous. You know, they weigh what they have to lose. The money, first of all, that is up for grabs, and then and then the position, you know, the security that they have and the favors, and they'll choose, you know, they choose the comfortable position. So I'm not throwing any rotten eggs at my fellow artists for taking money from the dictatorship, but if I were them, which I am not, I would stand with the people.
So what would you advise a young artist who's coming up, you know, who's getting some following and knows at some point in his life will become very influential? What would you advise them? Because, you know, like when you're getting into music, for the most part, you know, like I remember when I was young, music was something fun, was something for enjoyment. What would you advise them in as far as political consciousness is concerned? What do they need to be aware of when they're young to not fall into the trap?
It depends where this music finds them. If my music found me in a country like Botswana or Ghana or Malawi, I bet I would be entertaining people, because there wouldn't be so much oppression to fight against.
Okay.
You know, my music would be mostly for entertainment. Yeah. And indeed, music is for entertainment for people, because not everybody sees things from the same lenses. But honestly speaking, with a country like Uganda, situation, the political situation that we are confronted with, I would suggest that we should use our musical influence not only for entertainment, but also to uplift our people and create as much awareness as possible about the plight of our people. You know, music is information. Many of our people actually have no idea that they are enslaved in their own country. So maybe if the teachers have done what they can, and the preachers have done what they can, and the leaders and politicians have done what they can, I believe we as artists can also give a fair contribution to our country. I mean, we're not listening to so much love songs or simply entertaining music from South Africa in the times of apartheid. No, music played a huge role.
Absolutely.
So we have a role to play.
Wow. That was Honorable Bobby Wine. The number to call is 202-683-4570, *5 to speak. And you could also catch us on www.OneMicShow.com or ONEMIC.com. Mikasi, you have something?
Yes, I have this a question for Ezimira.
Yes,
go ahead.
So my question is, right now, as you're a lawmaker and you're also an artist, do you feel like you being a lawmaker is interfering with your career as an artist? Or do you also feel like your career as an artist is interfering with your career as a lawmaker? How do you draw the balance between the two, in that you represent your people and fighting for them the way they knew how you used to fight them through music, and also championing and fighting for them through legislature and law? How do you balance the two?
One, I want you to know that it's not just the two that I balance. I'm a farmer too. I'm a businessman too. I'm a father too. I'm a husband too. And these are also noble roles that nobody ever talks about. I mean, these are just responsibilities. Like I said, they don't take all of my time. The time that I would have spent at the club, or maybe at the gym, or maybe doing something else, I choose to spend it legislating. And, if you were an artist, and a spontaneous artist for that, you recognize that it does not take a whole day or a whole week for me to sit in studio and come up with a song, but it's just, it's just art and creativity that I use. I find myself in a situation where that responsibility is bestowed upon me, and I have to deal with it. So somehow it sorts out itself. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. So, okay, go ahead, OneMic.
No, somebody, I guess it's part of entertainment, and Valerie Rain, welcome, karibu sana.
Welcome.
She says, ask Bobby what happened to Mosey Radio. May he rest in peace. And she also adds that she used to watch the Bobby reality show on YouTube back in the day.
Yeah, man. That one know me to the mark.
Bobby ametoka mbali.
So Bobby had a reality show.
Yeah, he had a
reality show.
Yes.
Yeah,
man.
All right. So I don't know which one you want to start with. What happened to Mosey?
Mosey Radio was killed. If I was working with the police investigation department, the criminal investigation department, I would be able to know. Unfortunately, we never got a report from the police. All we know is that he was involved in a bus scuffle, and he was hit on the ground and cracked his skull. I last saw him in hospital when he was unconscious and on life support. And the next time I saw him, he was dead. So we still wait for the
police report.
Can you confirm if, because looking at some media online, that there's apparently somebody who had been arrested or was a suspect, I guess, and was being questioned?
Yeah. Somebody was arrested, but people always get arrested. But what we're saying is that we need a police report.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's interesting. I want us to take a slightly different trajectory, and I want to ask you something that's outside of music and politics. And I want to know the role of the Swahili language in Uganda. And the reason I'm asking this question is there's a love-hate relationship with the Swahili language in Uganda. It was meant to be the national language of the whole region of East Africa, but Uganda, for some reason, did not fully embrace it. You know, I do know a lot of Ugandan artists like yourself, like Chameleon, like even they do have a very good understanding of the language. But there's a lot of people from Kampala and other parts of Uganda who don't know Kiswahili, and we also know that the police services and the military, they use this language a lot.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, Swahili should have been not just an East African language, but maybe an African language. But from my own perspective, when I was growing up, Swahili was a language of oppression, used by the military and by armed forces, basically used by the units of coercion and oppression. The main words one knows, the most people in Uganda know in Swahili is kachini, toa viato,
kamata,
ujapa, piga huyo. So
wow,
you really would not expect.
What about wapi msolo?
Wapi msolo? So that in a way, created some resentment for the language, and our leaders did not do enough to create, love and appreciation for the language, which I think was left the masses at loss.
So the people who know Swahili, where did they learn it from? Do they learn it in the streets? Do they learn it from their parents? How is it that there's some Ugandans who...
The little Swahili, I know I learned it from jail.
Wow. Wow.
And what were you doing in jail? Were you just visiting someone?
Can we go to the next question, please?
Okay, we'll ask you the next question. So, you're a licensed boxer.
Yeah, I'm a professional boxer, a licensed boxer.
What weight class? And what's your record?
The last time I boxed, I was bantamweight. I was not. I did not take it so further. So professionally, I had 3 fights. I had 2 knockouts and 1 win. I never lost a professional fight.
100% record.
Yeah, but on street, I lost a few and 1.
The streets are different.
Yeah.
And I have another question for you, and this is on the female activists in Uganda.
Yeah.
There's one who I actually really follow, and Stella Nyanzi.
Yeah.
Are you related, by the way?
Actually, not practically, but we come from the same clan.
Okay.
Yeah, the Mbogo clan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think about her? Because she's lately, I mean, I see her Facebook posts, but she's kind of quieted down a little bit. But they had her in jail for quite a bit.
I respect her point of view. I respect her bravery, but I certainly don't share her style of communication.
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit more conservative, especially with sexuality.
Yeah, she's very, her use of language is very...
It's very strong.
Yeah, it's very strong, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I would rather keep my language mild. Maybe it's something to do with my upbringing, maybe because I'm a family man and I would rather communicate in a more polite way, especially knowing that my children are going to hear what I'm saying, or my in-laws are going to read what I write. And indeed, because I know very many young men and women out there emulate me, so I'd rather take it a little bit mild. It's more, accommodating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, folks, you're listening to the Honorable Bobby Wine. For those of you who don't know, again, call-in number is 202-683-4570, *5 to talk. Uno, you have another question?
No, I think, I was going to ask, in terms of, are you... Normally, we know you're an artist. Is anything that is cooking right now? Are you working on anything?
An album, maybe
an album,
a collabo.
Yeah, man.
What is that? The show, your YouTube, the show,
The reality show.
The reality show.
Well, we do know he's performing tomorrow
Uh-huh.
at Tabir, and he has a meet and greet from 9 p.m. 9 to 10 p.m.
Okay, interesting. Where will he be performing tomorrow?
Tabir restaurant is in Langley Park,
Okay.
Off University Boulevard.
Yeah, and I think we have someone in the studio who can give us that elaborate information.
I think that guy is a shy guy.
Yeah, he's shy, but
he's
coming.
seen.
Yeah.
He brought himself here.
He brought
he
himself.
might as well get
Yeah.
on the microphone.
People don't see you on radio, my friend.
Yeah.
They don't see you on radio.
They
Yeah.
can't see you. So tell us about the performance tomorrow. For,
And just tell us who you are first.
And what's coming up.
You know who this is, the one and only #1 East African UG DJ Mpoza. We have the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, who's going to grace us with his presence for a town hall to begin with. And then, of course, afterwards, he will do performance of his classics and some of his new songs, and then of course we'll go into the dancing music toward the end. It will be at Tabir Restaurant in Hyattsville. That is 1401 University Boulevard. Again in Hyattsville. Some people may say Langley Park. It's actually in the International Mall. If you're familiar with that, on the back side. Again, it's Tabir, Tabeer Restaurant, 1401 University Boulevard, Hyattsville, Maryland.
Okay, and non-Ugandans welcome for the town hall.
Yeah, do we bring our non-Ugandan ID
friends?
so that we come in for free, or?
If you're a friend of a Ugandan.
You come see me, we'll talk about it. But again, yes, this is open to all, for Ugandans and friends. And we come talk. He's going to speak on behalf of himself and what he's up to, what he's doing, what he's advocating for. And of course, we'll have a Q&A. People asking questions, or they'll have their suggestions or they're just their comments, so that he can, of course, either rebuttal them, dwell on them, or, take them in and move forward.
Dress code? I mean, because at least he may come with Timberlands, and we don't want him to come with Timberlands.
We prefer not, but
Tusker t-shirts.
And we wear Tusker
People from
t-shirts.
Baltimore, Tusker t-shirts and Timberlands.
But we've done this before, and so you guys should already know the dress code. So that, but
Just checking.
Yeah, but dress nicely. Of course, I'm sure there'll be nice ladies there. They're also going to dress nice.
Oh yeah, and the Ugandan ladies dress very nice.
Yes, they.
Yeah, we're doing some research
Who are
on.
you telling?
We're doing some research on the dressing of Ugandan ladies.
Yeah, we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, it's going to be very nice, very good, and just to give the Honorable here a chance to enlighten us on the good things that he's trying to do for us in Uganda as we try to move forward. Basically, as a country, and also, as he said, as for Africa.
So, not to put you on the spot, is he going to be one of the artists for Una Causes?
No.
Okay.
No, at least not at the moment.
Just checking.
And Las Vegas is also coming up, and the tickets are less than $200.
We wanted to take him as well, but I think he's going to be gone by then to go back to Uganda because he actually has things that he has to take care of.
He's got some legislature that he has to put in. That amendment that he was working on needs to be signed.
Yeah,
Not to mention that, Kenya beat the Ugandan team, but
so
in rugby. So I won't rub it in.
Yeah, right in front of my honorable too. Eh?
No.
No, you never know. He might strap up when he goes back.
Right,
he might start, going training.
He might.
Lift up something.
Maybe the fly half.
Yeah.
We are good neighbors. We didn't want to embarrass you.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Like Migingo. Okay.
That's a good one. So I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you, or are you? I think my opinion, based upon the conversations that we've had here, the interviews I've watched of you, the music that we've heard over the years, I think to me you have at least 3 books in you. So when is the book coming?
Mine?
Yes.
Well, it's along the way, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before let me get this in. Valerie Rain says the show was very nice. You could see Bobby being a leader and a people's person. He was very successful businessman and real estate mogul. So that is somebody who knows Muhesh.
And then he also says,
the reality show. The reality show.
But then he also said he's a farmer. So he's a business mogul. He's an entrepreneur. He's a farmer. He's an artist.
He actually takes the kids with him to go get the food.
Yeah.
I think above all, he's a father.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a father.
Okay.
And then a husband or a husband, a father. Either way, somewhere in between.
Why do you have to insist?
No.
All right. Real quick, now as we wrap up, the last words that you have for young people who are seeing, all these not so nice things happening around them. And they want to, be part of change, but they don't know what to do. What do they need to do?
Yeah, young people, it's important for them to know that we are not just going to wish the mess away. We are going to fold our sleeves and get involved. All these guys you see, at our age, they were already active. And indeed, many of them gave their contribution at our age. You understand? So if you think you're too young to give a contribution to your country, you are wrong. You're actually too old to be just seated on your ass. So let's get involved. Get actively involved in the governance of your country. I mean, we have so many young men and women out there that are just waiting for stuff to be done for them. That is not going to happen. Get up. I mean, young Americans made America. Young Europeans made Europe. We are not going to just continue running away from our continent. No.
But Bobby, it's one thing to say get up. But get up and do what? That's a question that comes up all the time. Someone, they realize that things are not working, but get up and do what? Do you run for office? What exactly is the most immediate thing that...
If to change the circumstances or the conditions of your place needs you to run for office, run for that office. If your leader is... Because I believe the problem of Africa is squarely a leadership problem. So be the leader. Not necessarily running for office. Of course, it requires you to run for office. Run for office. I mean, if you can't run for office, at least support that colleague that has run for office, especially if he represents your aspirations. If you can't support, at least advocate from where you are. You can make a difference where you are. Just start that conversation. Instead of us talking about Arsenal and Man U, let us talk about what's happening in Kenya, what's happening in Uganda, and how best it can be changed. It all starts by a conversation. Start that conversation. Preoccupy yourself. Get out of your comfort zone. And before you know, we're going to give Africa a new face.
Okay. All right. And that's Bobby Wine. And real quick before you go, ugali or matoke, you have 5 seconds to think. It's ugali or matoke.
It's matoke.
Come on now.
Man.
Huh? Ugali and nyama choma. Or matoke and what else? What else do you guys have with matoke?
Just say matoke and chicken. What's wrong with you? Matoke with chicken, man. That's a thing.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! So that is a member of Parliament, Bobby Wine, artist.
Thank you so much for hosting me right here in Kilimanjaro Studios. I really appreciate. In fact, I don't appreciate hate. I appreciate love.
Appreciate love. That's a new word we just found.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for coming through.
And by the way, since that, this is the first Ugandan artist who's on the One Mic Show live on Kilimanjaro, first leader, from Uganda,
first member of parliament.
First member of parliament. So what we say here is that your cherry just got popped.